Mother Nature reigns on this parade, but not before some of the fun and games at this picnic of power. So let the good times roll. Coming up next, we double your pleasure with 2 scoops of fun and monster racing. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the superstars of the 4-wheel and off-road Jamboree Nationals Monster Truck Challenge. Today, we bring you the 4-wheel and off-road Jamboree Midwest Nationals on Trucks and Tractor Power on the Nashville Network from a very wet and soggy Missouri State Fairgrounds in Sedalia. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee alongside Army Armstrong. Some unusual surroundings for us. We're inside the remote television facility where it's nice and dry because outside, Mother Nature has created a quagmire. But we have motorsports action for you with taped coverage of rounds 1 and the start of round 2 in the Monsters. Now, officially, the competition has been canceled because of rain. However, we also have some other bonus competition.
And let me tell you about the bonus competition because the rain has nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, these guys were looking for a little bit more moisture in the track. What we're going to be talking about is the Class 6 mud racers, the unlimited, the scooper tires. These guys are going to be trying to make a sub 3-second shot on a 250-foot track. I said these guys, let me throw some names at you. Tom Meets rolls out with Shake Me, supercharged Chevrolet engine. Ronnie Pence, 2-time world champion indoor with the Tater out of Missouri. He wants to do good. He's in his own home state. Then you got a guy rolling out of here. Mike Erdely rolls out with the Mud Shark. Everybody knows about this guy. If you're in the sport, you're almost afraid to go against him. And 4-time world champion, the Super Trooper, comes outdoors, Tom Martin. So all the big names in the sport are here. They like this weather. They're kind of like ducks. But weather doesn't bother them a bit. They're ready to go racing, Gary.
And a special run in the Monsters. You got to watch this. It's all coming up next. Stay with us. Not a very pleasant day here in Sedalia, Missouri, where Ford Trucks present the Penda 4-wheel and off-road Jamboree Midwest Nationals, a part of the BF Goodrich Performance Series. Round 1 pairings, Barefoot against Nightmare. Tropical Thunder will go up against King Krunch, also in round 1. Snakebite and Black Stallion just showing off against Bigfoot. A 10-truck field will also have Carolina Crusher and John Moore's No Problem. Rain in the forecast. The skies looking threatening right now, so we're not sure just how much action we'll get in before Mother Nature takes over. Here's a look at KIRK Dabney, the new driver of Nightmare out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And there is Fred Schaefer in Barefoot.
Well, Schaefer's been the story of the year so far this year. You know, we told you about him coming from Chevrolet over to Dodge. I think we got a good marriage here. Those guys are going to be players before the year's over. Dabney on the other side, he's new to this truck, but he's been in the sport for about 10 years. He's out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he knows awfully well he's going to have to leave with that Dodge if he's going to be competitive with him.
Fred Schaefer was the fast qualifier, and he takes the measure of Dabney and takes the victory here. Our first matchup in round 1, and that will go to the Dodge of Fred Schaefer.
Yeah, but nobody rolled over there. This kid in Nightmare, the GMC, was pushing Schaefer to the limits. He backed him into a corner and made Schaefer really work at Dodge to get the win, Gary.
Keep in mind, though, with this 10-truck format, the fastest loser from round 1 will advance. So it's important to keep the throttle down all the way through the run.
Exactly. You got to drive it out the back door is what they call it.
Tropical Thunder. This is Wayne Smozanik. He tows up to Missouri from the state of Florida, from Jupiter, Florida. There's a look at Wayne, a former drag racer who has made his way to monster truck racing, and he takes on the kid from Texas. This is the Auto Value King Krunch GMC of Scott Stevens.
You know, the shock absorbers on these things, there's a lot of engineering coming out of the shock absorber area. But Scott Stevens looks like a skinny-legged kid standing there the way his chassis sets up. His motor's located to the rear, as is Smozanik. This is a brand new setup for Wayne Smozanik. The Tropical Thunder is trying to bring some drag racing technology over. He may be a little bit of bad bounce, and now Stevens capitalizes on Smozanik's bad bounce.
Yeah, that's like a fielder in baseball takes a bad hop with the ball skipping over his shoulders. He reaches down to pick it up. It was just a bad hop on the part of Wayne Smozanik.
That's right. You can't put the horsepower to the track if you're bouncing. But the new chassis setup seems to be working. He leaves the line. You can tell he's got some drag race in him, can't you, Gary?
Wayne Smozanik takes the bad hop. Scott takes the victory, and he is standing by with Army.
Well, Scott Stevens,
The truck seems to like the track or something. It just seems to be working for you here.
Oh yeah, truck just getting better and better every run. You know, we just got to find something. We're just a little bit off. You know, I feel like my driving's pretty close and the truck's pretty close. I just got to get it all together. You know, from the qualifying times, we're just a little bit short, but you know, it's so close. I think we can find it. That run there was a little conservative. I just wanted to cut a good light and go straight, and it felt real good. And, you know, got to get ready for that next round. Every round here is going to be tougher.
And here is a look at Snake Bite. That is the GTS fiberglass body on the Ford truck Colt Cobra out of Cobra Creek, Colorado. And he certainly has made his presence felt this season. The youngster from the state of Maryland. That's the Black Stallion of Mike Botters.
That's another GTS body. You know, the fiberglass body is getting to be a very important part of this sport. And one of the old Bigfoot drivers saw that, started a company that specializes in these bodies now for these monster trucks, to keep them looking as close as possible to something the crowd can identify with.
And keep them as light as possible, as Snake Bite's going to take this one in a big way. Colt Cobra is victorious over Mike Botters, so Mike may have had a mechanical problem there.
Boy, that truck is gaining so much popularity. You go around the country, kids know who Colt Cobra is.
Well, it's been a popular truck, but now it's a victorious truck.
Exactly. Like you said earlier, he stepped up this year, and he's really going to be a player.
Here is a look at Just Showing Off. This is Paul Huffaker in Just Showing Off, and he'll go up against the Bigfoot 10 of Andy Brass. There's a look at Paul out of Spring, Texas, down in the area where Scott Stevens hails from.
As a matter of fact, Paul Huffaker was the original crew chief for Scott Stevens. When I first met him, I met those guys together. Andy Brass, everybody knows the story, a hired gun for Bob and Marilyn Chandler out of Missouri, driving the awesome blue truck. Meanwhile, the Carina Mainstay dog food truck is trying to bump this big guy off.
A lot of new sponsors coming in the monster truck competition. We can see the color scheme there on the Mainstay. But look at the victory by Andy Brass.
Yeah, but Gary, when he tagged the brakes on the end, he's got some blue smoke coming out. They call that death smoke. That's usually the sign of a blown engine at this point in time. Wow.
Well, Andy appears to be motoring on back to the pit area. Let's look one more time. He gets the hole shot and takes the victory, but that smoke could be terminal.
He had horsepower at the end of the run when he backed on the throttles when the blue rolled out.
Well, Andy is back in the pit area, climbs out of Bigfoot 10. Let's get on and talk to him, Army.
Andy, you've got a tremendous amount of blue smoke coming out of the vehicle. What's causing that?
Now, the only thing we can think of has been sucking some intake gaskets on it. We have a little problem with the intake. We had to stack some gaskets there earlier this afternoon. We was putting it back together, and we're just thinking maybe we're just sucking them in there, and we're getting oil out of the intake and it's burning it.
Well, so perhaps a problem that can be rectified as another problem to be rectified. The weather, and the fans are heading for higher ground in the dryness under the grandstand. There's a look at Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher as he will go up against No Problem, the new truck for John Moore.
John Moore is still trying to get the handle on this truck. A lot of new designs. We keep talking about it. He's hooked up with a new sponsor, the HPX people. They've come up with a new idea, a new theory. But the truck is a lot softer, spongier, if you will. Keep an eye on it. It doesn't have a lot of forward to back motion, but a lot of left to right motion. Right now, he's tough. Look at that. Look at that.
Boy, is that a photo finish? John Moore, No Problem. Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher. We could have a photo finish.
Well, Gary, the officials are saying, yes, it is a dead heat, so they should come back and go again, I guess.
The rules would dictate if it is a dead heat, they run it again. Let's take a look now at the replay. John Moore and Gary Porter, a dead heat, a photo finish. They have to go back and run it again, but right now there is a discussion at the start-finish line. Let's go down and listen in.
Yes, that is correct. John does not want to run again. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, John Moore, the decision has just been made. You and your wife made the decision. We talked earlier about the new truck, the new concept. You said the truck just doesn't have one more run left in it. You want to go back and regroup, but you got to be happy with it.
Oh, yeah. HPX, No Problem, has come great. The truck has just been doing real great. We're having a little spring problem right now. We got our rate a little too soft, and there's no more I can do to the truck right now. And the truck is so good, I don't really want to hurt the chassis by going out. We've got a good piece of equipment, and I don't want to hurt it.
Well, speaking of hurting, Mother Nature is about to inflict some damage on all of us because heavy winds have moved into the area along with some drizzle. We understand some rain will follow, some heavy rain. And of course, the spectators are moving on up to higher ground to take cover. As we look at KIRK Dabney, Fort Wayne, Indiana, he will go up against the same guy he took on in the first round, Barefoot. Barefoot won that one, but Nightmare was the fast loser. And so with this particular format with 10 trucks, it will be Fred Schaefer and KIRK Dabney going side by side in the first matchup in round 2.
You know, that's why pushing a truck to the limit in every round in these races is so important. That's what got Dabney here, the fact that he was a quick loser.
Barefoot takes the victory. Dabney's in trouble, almost over on his side. Look at that, back the other way and upside down. Dabney almost had it saved. He kept his foot in the throttle. I have never seen a truck go that far over to the one side without going on over.
No, he went back into the throttle. He high-sided. Immediately the safety crew goes out, pulls the emergency kill switch, and the fire crew's right on the scene. I believe he's going to be okay, but that's what you got to do. If you're going to race, you got to go as hard as you can. Now Mother Nature's kicking up her heels, so I don't think it's going to hinder things down on the track.
Well, you're down there in the rain. We can see the rain now as it is heavier and the driver is out. He is okay. Let's take one more look. I have the advantage of being up here where it's high and dry. You're down there getting wet. We can see the replay. Now watch how far over he goes. The door handle is almost in the dirt. He stays on the throttle. Oh, you can't go any more over than that. But then like a sprint car, setting the chassis the other way, it went back over, rolled upside down, but once again, Dabney is okay and perhaps only minor damage to that monster truck. Some anxious moments for those on the crew. We had an ISO camera on the crew chief as he shows his concern, but once again, the driver is okay and he is standing by with Army Armstrong.
KIRK, first of all, are you okay?
Yeah, Army, I'm fine.
Okay, you high-sided it back in the throttle. It looked like you're going to be able to pull it out, but it just didn't work for you.
I'm relatively new, so we're not really sure what happened. We're going to have to take a look at the replay and see what happened. We're pretty upset that we've turned the truck over, but we'll be back.
And let's take a look again. Now, once again, KIRK Dabney did an excellent job of driving to keep that truck from rolling all over to the left. But then when he corrected, he almost overcorrected and flipped back over to the right side.
Well, you got to remember, you got something digging on all four corners, so anything touching the ground is going to pull you one way or the other. Okay, on the throttle right now, look at the blue smoke. He is really up on the RPMs. It comes around, and now it does what they call the old high side. It just kind of slow rolled once he got going. There wasn't a lot of impact.
Well, Army, the race has been called because of the rain. That will do it for the monster truck. However, when we come back, we'll have some taped highlights of mud racing coming up next from Sedalia, Missouri. Welcome back to the Missouri State Fairgrounds. Timing lights at the finish line must mean it's time for mud racing.
And the class we're going to be seeing today is Class 6, the Opens, the Unlimiteds. They run the paddle tires, so we're going to be seeing them go side by side. But what they're racing against is not each other, but the clock.
And here is Doug Marsh from Russellville, Missouri in the hard times, and he goes up against a real veteran, the attitude adjuster. This is Shane Back out of the bluegrass state of Kentucky.
You know, both of these vehicles are going to be generating around 1,800 horsepower. You figure that, about 4 foot deep of mud on a 250-foot track. That's what this fast-growing sport is all about, Gary.
And the object is the better 3 seconds. Can they do it? Marsh, the first to the lights, and he is smoking. He may have done some engine damage.
He hurt a motor bad, real bad.
The time, he did it under 3 seconds at 2.93. 2.93, Shane at 3.42. So some engine damage to Doug Marsh, but he is the guy right now to beat.
He hurt the engine, looked good all the way through, but right at the end, they let go, Gary.
Let's go down trackside where Doug Marsh is with Army Armstrong.
Everybody's laying on the equipment today. Where did the smoke come from?
It's a brand new motor, and I sucked the intake gasket, and it burnt number 8 cylinder up. It just burned it up. It's gone. I'll go home and rebuild the motor again.
Well, it's a costly afternoon. And right now, he is the guy to beat, but look at this, the brand new Mud Shark, Mike Erderly out of the state of Michigan. A brand new creation in a long line of Mud Sharks, and look who he goes up against, Tater.
This is worth the price of admission right here. Man, these guys are like 2 old-time street fighters. Ron Pence, a Missouri boy, going up against this kid in the Corvette. Like I say, this could be worth the price of admission right here. Side by side. They're just sitting next to each other. They're racing the clock. The Corvette's powered by Chrysler.
I started to say the time to beat is 2.93 as Tater slides to a stop, then taps the throttle, and the Mud Shark almost got one of those junk cars down there. Mike Erdely out of the Wolverine stayed at 3.17, not as quick as he has been in the past. Let's take a look again.
What happens? These scoopers are designed to go forward, but once they go through the pit, look at both vehicles are basically semi out of control, and they turn around. Now, we're standing exactly in front of that vehicle right now when he bursts the throttle. He has my attention.
I guess he does, but he was also DQ'd, disqualified for going out of bounds. Here is a rear-engine dragster. This is the Showtime dragster of Ken Crum out of Kansas City. Kansas City about an hour and 40-minute drive from Sedalia, Missouri. So he has to be a favorite here. And look at this machine. Tom Martin in the Super Trooper, a four-time champion in this event.
Yeah, but his world championships have all been indoors. We're going outdoors. Let's see what Martin can do now. He can still be a player, I guarantee you. Engine in the front of Martin's vehicle. Showtime, you can see the engines to the rear. Super Trooper.
The Showtime sporting a 477 cubic inch blown Rodec. And a problem with the Super Trooper as Showtime takes it out the end at 2.97. But a disappointing day for Tom Martin in the Super Trooper. He's down in that quagmire. They'll tow him out of there. As we look at the standings, Doug Marsh continues to lead in the hard times at 293. Ken Crum is second in Showtime. Then the Mud Shark with Mike Erdely. So more action coming your way from the Missouri State Fairgrounds in Sedalia. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Missouri State Fairgrounds, where Ford Trucks present the Penda Four-Wheel and Off-Road Jamboree Midwest Nationals, a part of the BF Goodrich Performance Series. These jamborees offer a host of activities for both the truck lover and the entire family as well. To find out more, call or write the Special Events Promotion Company. Side by side, mud racing continuing here from the infield at the Missouri State Fairgrounds as we take a look at Gary Miller in his LUV'N Mudder, a Chevy LUV truck with a 468 cubic inch V8. And we also have a brand new creation. He goes up against Jim Harbuck and Flirtin' with Disaster.
You know, this is an interesting story here. If you follow the sport, you know the name Flirtin' with Disaster. But Jim's wife, Paula, normally drives the vehicle in a different class, Class 5. When they go to the unlimited class, he steps up and does the driving himself. But believe me, his lovely wife can really manhandle this rascal.
Flirtin' with Disaster, the near lane. LUV'N Mudder, the far lane. A 2.93 is the time they're shooting for. A problem there for Gary Miller as Harbuck takes it out the backside, slides to a stop. We've seen a number of slides like that down in the shutdown area. 3.06, good run, but not quite fast enough. And finally, Gary Miller gets his started and drives that Chevy LUV out the end, but he'll have a very, very slow run indeed. Let's take a look. Problem in the right-hand lane, and here comes Harbuck coming at you.
Harbuck comes through like a rocket, but the whole thing, those tires are designed to pull one way. Now, you know, the scoop is working against you. Watch him wing the throttle right there. Just try to get the truck settled back down.
Our final two competitors coming up. Hollywood Tom Meents out of Paxton, Illinois in Shake Me. Boy, I tell you what, he's won his share. He drives a 32 Ford Roadster, and he goes up against the Dragonfly, Tad Horvath.
But Tom Meents is the kind of guy that lives his life 3 seconds at a time. I tell you the kind of character is, if he went bungee jumping, you would have to bring the cord. He wouldn't think it would be important. 3 seconds at a time, and you're going to see why right now.
Last run of the afternoon, and Meents will take it. Meents will have that run, has some trouble getting stopped. Let's check the time. Is it fast enough? Yes, it is. 2.88. Last run of the day, he takes the victory, and there is a time for the Dragonfly at 3.12. So Tom Meents, here it is again. Last pass of the afternoon, coming right at you, and he takes the victory. Has some trouble getting slowed down, but Tom Meents saw what he had to do, and he did it. He's standing by now with Army Armstrong.
Well, Tom, your father's not here to enjoy this with you. He took the weekend off. I know you're going to be making a good phone call home to him, though, about the win.
Yeah, he'll be real happy when I call him and tell him how good we did. Just a shame he can't be here to enjoy it with us.
Congratulations to you. An awfully good job.
Thanks a lot, Hunter.
So Tom Meents takes the victory here in Sedalia, Missouri with a run of 2.88 in Shake Me. Doug Marsh, an expensive run. He's second, but he spent about $30,000 on that engine he blew up. And Showtime with Ken Crum rounding out the top three. Let's take a look once again at that victorious run by Tom Meents in the Shake Me 32 Ford. So on the last run of the day, Tom takes the victory. Our congratulations to Tom Meents. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week for another edition of Trucks and Tractor Power. Now, here's news of an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports.